Hey gang, thank you for joining me today. My name's Dan. My name used to be Dan, and it still is. That's a bunch of nonsense. I used to broadcast a lot more, and then lo and behold, right midstream, my career changed. That's a long story. I won't get into it right now. By the way, I will go into it this far. I have started a new YouTube channel. There's nothing on it yet, but I will give you a link later to my music/ministry/teaching videos. So I'm going to start a new channel. That's my resolution, because I've been trying to decide what to do about this for a while, because I don't want to muck up, people's expectations. They come to a art channel and they find somebody preaching. I don't exactly preach in the traditional sense of that word, but anyway, today hammering out a couple, and that's the best way to describe it, hammering out architectural renderings. So this broadcast is very much in line with the attitude I had when I started this nearly 4 years ago, Daily Art Adventure. My intention was to show you guys, whoever cared to watch, what it was like to be a full-time artist, and just whatever job happened to be on my plate that day, that's what I'd show you. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually very anxious to get to the job I started last week, which is this wedding painting. I thought that's what I was going to be working on today, but here again, welcome to the life of an artist. All of a sudden a client showed up and they need these architectural renderings like yesterday. So I put that on hold. Hope to do a broadcast and be doing that later today. In the meantime, here we go. Hammering out landscape. I'm doing the old pretend you're a falcon, a hooded falcon, and I've covered up your eyes so you can't see what's going on. Here we go. All right, how are we doing here? All right, I think that'll work. So part of my objective here in this broadcast is again, just to give you, I'm going to treat you all like you're artists, whether you are or not, right? I want to show you what it's like to be an artist, and how an artist thinks, or how an artist has to think. So about 85% of my work in the last 16 years has been doing oil paintings for galleries. I still am called upon to do what in my old life, which is illustration. And it just sort of, depends on which clients have stuck with me and are willing to put up with my rather erratic schedule. So this is one of my recurring clients at this season of my life. He's a landscape designer and builder. And so he just left my studio a little while ago. He sent me these photographs, which I won't go over in fine tooth. I just let you know that I'm looking at those. And while he was sitting here looking over my shoulder, I scribbled out this sketch and these notes. Okay? So the challenge here is I have to try to turn this into a three-dimensional rendering. So clean piece of paper. Let me show you. Try to show you. So how do I do this? I'm try to talk out loud and let you just hear what my mind is doing, what my brain is doing while I'm doing this. Oh, wait, let's get legal first. This is Daily Art Adventure number 995. How about that? Almost at 1,000. Hammering out landscape renderings, and I say here, exercise in perspective. So here we go. There, legal. According to the crazy rules that I made up for myself. All right, so here's a good trick for any of you who are an artist, any of you who are artists. Anytime you're doing a drawing on a piece of paper, start by drawing a border. Two reasons for that. One is it causes your mind to start thinking in terms of use of space, two-dimensional design, of layout. Without this line, the edges of the paper, believe it or not, are sort of psychologically invisible to most people. You don't think about that necessarily being that where your composition ends. That's just where the paper ends. But if you draw a line, now you're conscious, oh wait, that's where my composition ends. Also, it gives me a little bit of cheating room. Once again, here's this photograph is by far the main one. And here is my rough sketch. I'm going to view from this angle as if I'm probably standing on a 3-foot step stool. So maybe I'm 9 feet above, not quite that much. Let's say 8 feet above. So there's my horizon. I'm thinking all these, you notice by the way I'm holding a pencil. And you'll notice also that it's this great big fat lead holder, graphite holder, which I really love, made by Creative Mark. This is one of those gizmos in the art store that I never would have bought myself, probably. I'd probably walked past it 100 times and would never have bought one, but somebody gave me one time. And after they gave me one, I went out and bought 2 more. I love it. And the fatness of the lead is, believe it or not, is a key element in why I like this this drawing utensil, because it keeps me loose. See, in a little while, I will graduate to this 0.5 millimeter super fine, and I'll hold the pencil this way. This is detail work. Got it? This grip, and this fine point is detail work. But for rough sketches, I want to think with my whole arm. All right, I'm already off on the wrong foot. Not really, but I'm already making changes. Hang on. I'm saying to myself, hang on. I'm not sure. Just gonna give me the views that I want. Blah, blah, blah. This is me thinking out loud. You understand? I'm just kind of, this is about 30 inches high. And I'm already using up some of my buffer here. Hello, Uncle 60. Good to see you. Hello, Finnifer. Mannheim, Germany. Mannheim. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to hear a friend from Germany. And I hardly know how to tell you what my brain is doing right now, because it's just very intuitive. I'm constructing. And I have in my mind I know what this is supposed to look like. I'll show you a couple tricks I have. Of course, one trick is erasing. Unlike in my oil painting, where I generally don't erase my mistakes, quote unquote, when I'm doing an architectural rendering like this, I do erase my mistakes. Otherwise, I get lost. I can't figure out. Where I am, which lines are real, which ones are not real. Oh, nope. Okay. All right. There's enough mistakes on there now. I'm going to completely start over. Everything needs to be smaller. It's just way too big. So let's just start out by redrawing that everything smaller, because I was way running out of room. I'll try to describe what this. So this is a hang on, my brain's not working yet. Give me just a minute. This is a deck. It's about 30 inches high, 30 inches off the ground. This part of the deck here is about 4 feet off the ground. So it's a couple steps coming down. And change my direction significantly. Change my point of view. So you can't necessarily see that, but there's a hot tub right here, 7 feet by 7 feet, I believe the notes say. Yeah, 7 by 7 feet hot tub, and the stairs go beyond that. And there's this big curved section. There's stairs going down this way. A blank wall of the house. 3 windows of a house here. Again, I hope you can see what's the reason for holding my pencil this way. This is my searching for the right lines. It's my very, very, very loose grip. If you hold your pencil this way, you're tied into the, what I call the death control grip. You're tied into the control center of your brain, of your mind. And this is not the time for control. This is the time for freedom and, I don't want to say expressiveness, because I'm not, it's not, this is a time for loose, large, bold movements, not fine movements. All right, I think that might be close enough. So here's one of my first tricks. First of all, I'm working here on a light table. So I can turn this piece of paper over and take this photograph out of there and turn it over as well. So I can still see that now backwards. And let's redraw it now. And I take my rough sketch and turn it over. So now I'm seeing everything mirror image, seeing it backwards. That makes sense? That's, for me, it's very helpful being able to turn everything around. So look, we have one vanishing point is off the page, but it's about there. That's linear perspective language talking right there. The other vanishing point will be about here. Can you off my page? Now, when it comes time to do the final drawing, I might tape this down and actually build or create vanishing points out here. That is tape down a bent paper clip. If I do that, I'll show you how I do that at that time. I have here an eraser pencil, so I could do some fairly fine detail erasing. Once again, I'm cheating now. Oh, let me show you another trick. Not at all uncommon. When I'm doing a drawing like this, I'll find if I've run out of paper, hang on. If I run out of paper over here, I'll simply take another piece of paper and tape it to this one. Of course, I don't need that much, so bear with me while I rip that off. Okay. Out of that, so now I have an extension over here because this needs to go a little bit further. If this looks like a gigantic mess to you, then way to go. You're paying attention. Because it looks like a gigantic mess to me too. And again, it's sort of hard for me to describe what my mind is doing. It's based on the notion that I can visualize things three-dimensionally. So if I'm wrong, then boy, I'll be really wrong. But I think I can do this. Listen to that confidence. I think I can do this. All right, I keep having to move these stairs. I'll describe more as I'm able to describe more. I will describe more for you. Screened-in porch over here. Nice American back door there. Okay, let's clean this up now. Hammering it out, just hammering out really is, I think, an apt description. That's a railing. All right, now let me turn this over. This was my first sketch. Well, actually, okay, if you're really counting, let's go back. This was my first sketch. This was my second one. This is my third one. And that's my fourth one. Okay, so I'm already 4 sketches in. I think I have an eraser, white magic, maybe it's called. Eraser, so I'm erasing sketch number 3. So I'm turning the sketch back over so that it's right side up. Hello, JD from Spain, and Galaxy Coco Lacey from Michigan. That's where I grew up, Michigan. Mostly, I say the nice side of the state, but I shouldn't say that because chances are, just by crunching the numbers, Galaxy Coco Lacey, you are from the populated side of the state. But I grew up, the closest I have to a hometown is Grand Rapids, Michigan, because I lived just outside Grand Rapids from age 2 to age 12, and then came back to Grand Rapids for college. So it's as close as I have to a hometown. In between those, I lived in Traverse City, Cleveland, Ohio, and Petoskey, Michigan. And of all those places, Petoskey is by far my favorite. If you've been to Petoskey, you probably know why it's my favorite. Just one of those proverbial God's country kind of things. Anyway, where are you from? Galaxy Coco Lacey. And horror fan. Oh, that's a great question, horror fan. Will I do another video? Well, I tell you what, simply because you asked, that definitely makes me more inclined, yes, to do another tour of my Christmas decorations. Thanks for asking. That's very kind of you. Dickens Street. Here's, by the way, I'm already encountering, something's wrong with my brain. I tell you, and I'm an artist, and it's really serious, because this really does come back to bite me sometime. It turns out it happens pretty much only when I'm sitting down, like I am now. It doesn't seem to afflict me when I'm standing up. But when I'm sitting down and drawing, I tend to skew my lines, my vertical lines, I think it's oblique, the opposite of an italic. I slant my lines to the left. It's irritating. It's like something wrong with my brain. Why do I see all? Anyway, so now, see, I didn't realize that these were leaning to the left. Now that I turn it over, I go, oh, well, these are okay, but over here. Anyway, yeah, now they're leaning to the right. Does it make sense? So that's another good reason for using this light table trick or mirror trick. By the way, those of you who follow me very often, you know I use a very similar trick when I'm doing portraits, but using my camera phone, right? Taking a picture of my painting and then flopping it or looking at a mirror image on my phone. The old-fashioned, low-tech version of that trick, of course, is simply to hold your mirror in front of a painting, right? You knew that, right? Good. Again, all those lines that I just drew are just approximate perspective lines. And again, before I finish this illustration, I will probably double or triple check my perspective. But there's no point in doing that right now because I'm not necessarily even close to. So this is sketch number 5, by the way, for those of you who are counting. This is sketch number 5. And still, you can tell by my grip that this is, I consider this to be still very loose. I think this part of the deck comes out further. So see, changing my mind, moving things. Let's erase the erroneous marks now. Let me tell you the purpose of most of the sketches I do for this particular client. Again, he's a landscape architect, landscape designer, and landscape builder. Yeah, he's a pretty amazing guy. Don't even get me talking about my friend Travis. He is a remarkable, I am not kidding, he's a remarkable guy. And everything that I just said about him being, well, he came into the landscape design business, not like by getting a degree or something like that from university, but in fact, by being what we call, in this part of the world, a bushwhacker. That is to say, he's a tree man. He's as strong as a gorilla, and he climbs 40, 50, 60 feet up in trees and starts, you can watch people do this on YouTube, you know. It's just amazing how they cut down huge trees and drop them carefully without smashing anything or anybody. That's what he does. That's how he got into this business. He has big dump trucks full of sand and gravel and soil and rocks and, you know, earth moving machines. So that's how he got into the landscape design business, as by being a hands-on kind of guy. So all of that makes you think, oh, he's kind of like a rough and tough working, which he is. He absolutely is. Like I said, strong as a gorilla. Well, it makes me sick kind of young man. Oh, he's, I don't know, low 40s somewhere. So that's one picture of my friend Travis. The other is he's a singer, like an opera singer, and he's a dancer, like opera, tap, showbiz. And he's a worship leader, like heart, soul, spirit, deep. So have I just blown your categories for you? He's a man that drives dump trucks and earth moving machines around and does design stuff, and he's a singer and Broadway kind of style dancer. And I've seen him. I've watched him work. I've watched him in shows, like big shows, not Broadway, but you know, off Broadway, big shows. Oh my goodness! And I always laugh and say, "What? That's my friend Travis? You've got to be kidding!" Because he's really good. He's really good. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun when you run into people that just smash all your categories to smithereens? I love it. Climbs up 60-foot trees, smashes things down with a bobcat or front end loader, drives a dump truck, and sings and dances. You can tell I'm a fan. All right, I'm getting closer. And it's almost hard for me to describe how this emerges out of the mess, and it's still emerging. I'm not done yet, but it's you can almost see it. You can almost see where we're going here. I am going to turn this over one more time. Hang on. But the back side of this is, yeah, it's too big. Doesn't fit on 8.5 by 11 anymore. A little bit too much work, maybe, to erase all of this. So hang on, I'm trying to decide which way to go here. Hello, Damajules from Texas. I also lived in Texas for 9 years. 9 years of my young adult life, age 23 to 35, 36. I am. Okay, interruption. No, that's off. No. Turns out I am erasing this guy. Yep. Yeah. Thanks, baby. Hang on, I know we're sagging here a little bit. I do have a device, an anti-sag device. See this wonderful tool? We think of everything around here. Hang on. That's not very good. I'm still working on it. Bear with me just a minute here. All right. So I decided, yeah, it's just easier just to take a few minutes. At some point, my pencil lines become too dark and too dense to erase. But in which case, often I'll scan this onto my computer and print out. But that would take several minutes of your precious time. So let me just take a few minutes to erase this. So yeah, Texas. I lived in two places, Fort Worth, and my wife and I met. We were both in school in Fort Worth, grad school. And then I lived in San Saba, Texas. And I usually, if somebody says they're from Texas, when I say, I'll give you $1 if you know where San Saba is. Most of the time, my dollar is completely safe. One time, however, my wife and I were out in Burbank, or Hollywood, California. I was doing a wedding. I actually did a Hollywood wedding. Unfortunately, only one. The audience, turns out, was not full of Hollywood. It was 2 Hollywood actors. But it turns out the audience, or the congregation, was not a bunch of Hollywood actors. So I haven't been invited back to Hollywood. All right, hold on that story. I think I'm going to draw this one more time. So that's drawing number 5, just for those of you who are keeping score. This is pretty typical, by the way. Oh, and this door is supposed to be taller. Pretty typical. Rough sketch, rough sketch, rough sketch, rough sketch. And I've said this before, too, that it is the... Hang on, let me see if I can remove this dirty piece of Scotch tape and replace it with a cleaner one. The rough sketch stage, or the rough sketch phase, or the sketching phase, is really the work, the hard part of illustration or painting. In fact, I have a commission on the table right now. Not this table. I have a commission. Right? Did you see that, by the way? I started out holding the pencil this way. hang on here. I'm thinking out loud. That's the reason for my pause here. And I know this is not a great yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I just have to get rid of my... Okay, and you're still not getting a good view of this. Hang on, let's see if I can get this better. Hang on, we'll get you there. All right, and I know you have bad lines through my drawing there because of the strobe effect of the fluorescent light bulbs. Sorry, can't be helped. All right, I'm going to tape this down to my table. I'm going to show you a trick, an exercise, if you will, a trick in linear perspective. So, uh-oh, I have a crying child. Hey, Tali, can you take him outside? Yeah. We got some. I'm broadcasting. We got some. Can you carefully close my door, Tali? Thanks, sweetie pie. Yeah, watch out for fingers. Whew. All right. I'm sitting here with my chin on my hands. You can't see that part, so I just describe it because I'm to a moment of intense analysis. Tools. Here we go. So this is taped down. Got it? So that's step number 1. I'm about to begin sketch number 6, by the way. And I wonder if I can find an old-fashioned non-photo blue pencil. Again, hang on just a second. Reaching up to my colored pencil. All right, I have here, as I said, an old, this is a tool from back in the olden days. Non-photo blue pencil. Because I want to draw out some perspective lines. Bear with me just a minute. I know this is getting a little bit crazy. Is my paper, wow, close enough to perfect. All right, so my paper accidentally is straight. That helps. The horizon, as you all know, wink wink, I know you don't all know this, but those of you who know linear perspective, you know this. The horizon is always a perfectly horizontal line. I don't know if I can draw. Oh, I can. Good. Okay, so that's the horizon. That's really important. That means all of my vanishing points are going to fall. I'm as wide as I can go, right? Yeah, pretty much. Let's see if I can go any higher. Well, let's stay there. Barely. All right. Now, that horizon, that vanishing point is going to be way off the off the drawing table, I believe. I'm just going to start. So there's a circle and a dot. I'm being rather arbitrary here. I'm saying that that's my vanishing point. So here's a trick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time measuring carefully. I'm just going to slap down a whole bunch of perspective lines. It's only important that they all pass through this spot right here on the horizon. That's all that matters. Okay, this is classic 2-point perspective for those of you who are keeping score. Okay, that's one vanishing point. And my next trick is I'm going to take a paper clip. No, I'm not. I'll finish my thought though. I'll tell you what I would do, because it's too premature. This is still a test, but I would bend a paper clip like this. So I have this part is flat and there's one piece sticking up, and this upright is going to be my vanishing point. And so I would tape it down, and eventually I'll do this, but it's premature. So I would tape it down like this, so it's a couple pieces of tape, so it's nice and secure, and this vertical. Then I can just slap my ruler up against that vertical. I don't even have to look at it, right? I don't have to make my eye keep going over here. I just use it as a mechanical vanishing point. But I don't trust my drawing well enough to do that yet. Now, I can do the same thing then way over here. Let's see if how close is my vanishing point even. Yeah, so can you see my physical vanishing point would be about 3 inches. Hang on. Okay, hang on. We got this. So I'm just going to pick up this piece of paper that's taped down. Now I'm really glad that I drew this blue line beyond the paper, because I can use it now. I'm simply going to move my paper excuse me, turning lights on and off. I think if I cheat that much, let's see. Are you following me? Again, only those of you who kind of get linear perspective really understand what I'm doing here. And by the way, when I teach linear perspective, here's what I teach. I did this last week in one of my classes. If you've studied linear perspective a whole bunch, I'll just say it, put it that way. If you've studied it sufficiently and you still don't get it, then quit trying. Either your brain's going to get it or it's not. I've never seen a light bulb come on. Some people get it, some people don't. And if you don't get it, then you just need to learn how to cope or compensate. All right. Whew. Now, let's check out see if my other vanishing point. Yeah. So, for the moment, I am going to build a physical vanishing point out here. And since it's physical, I can actually make it extend just a little bit beyond the top of the drawing table. Get it? I'm making the vanishing point about 1/4 of an inch, simply because I can. Tape this down fairly securely. All right, so that's secure. Now my rulers aren't long enough. So give me a second. I need to stand up, come over here and pick up one of my longer rulers or straight edges. Whew. Okay, back to the drawing now. Let's see. And I'm definitely going to use a fine point drawing pencil now and start. Hope I'm not out of lead, wasting your time. Oh, good grief. I think I am. Okay. Bear with me. You're about to get a lesson in how to put lead, whether you want it or not, how to put lead in a mechanical pencil. You just never know, do you? What's going to happen? So I'm looking for 0.05 millimeter, but that's HB 0.05 unmarked. 5H, so that's really hard. 6H, that's even harder. B, oh, there's only one in there. B is about what I want. And blue, that's if I want blue, which I don't. And 0.07, I don't want that. Okay, let's just go with, I'm going to go with these unmarked ones because I think most of my 0.5, 0.05 millimeter leads are a little bit softer than HB. Put a whole bunch of them in there. But I know you guys are just thrilled to get a lesson in how to put lead in a mechanical pencil. Just what you wanted. All part of life, huh? All right, now hopefully, there we go. Back in the drawing tool drawer. Turn the light back on. All right, now, I'm hoping you get the idea that this end of the ruler is smack up against that physical vanishing point. So I don't have to keep sending my eyeballs over there to see if it's lined up. I just do it mechanically. So, and I'm going to do some of the drawing here just to see if I'm close. And since I'm being this, as the kids would say, being this anal about it, instead of being this technical, I will also use a T-square and a triangle to get my verticals perfectly vertical. So I'm not going to fall into the mistake of accidentally skewing my lines to the left like I talked about a while ago. So this is still rough sketch, by the way. This is certainly not finished drawing. This is just, we're going to find out if my perspective guesses, if my perspective lines are close. Look at the photograph. Yeah, but the top of the door is not as high as the windows. Okay, there we go. So the top of the door is right about there. Then there's a skylight over the door. And bottom of the door window there. Bottom of the door, top of the deck. Top of the deck. Did you catch that? Right about there. This is going to make some serious alterations. Okay, fine. Turns out I am going to create another vanishing point. Damn, Red Oak. I used to know where Red Oak was. I did. So do you know where San Saba is? Oh, I was started to tell this story. We were doing a wedding in Hollywood, California, and we were staying in an Airbnb. And over breakfast, we were chatting with one of the other residents. He was from Texas, and I laughed and said, "Well, We used to live in Texas, and we lived in San Saba. I'll give you $1 if you know where that is. This was on a Saturday morning. And he said, I was in San Saba on Thursday. Now, that's not so funny. Bear with me. That is kind of funny, but not too funny. There's more going here. So it turns out he is, and now I'm drawing a blank. Famous actor, famous kind of bad boy actor, Men in Black, the bad dude, what Asian, whatever. What's his name? What's that guy's name? Whatever that actor's name is. I'm terrible at remembering actors' names. I try to remember important things, therefore I never remember actors. How's that for a snobby statement? No, this is gonna, what I'm seeing now, this perspective is gonna throw everything way off. Okay, but that's why I'm doing this. That is why I'm doing this. Oh, his name just went in and out of my brain. Anyway, it turns out this man who was at the Airbnb with us was this famous actor's, he was his chauffeur, or whatever else you call that person it is. Oh, that was pretty funny. So we had a good laugh, good time talking about this actor and talking about San Saba, Texas. Deer hunting country, kind of out deep in the heart of nowhere is how I used to describe this town. Population 2,500 maybe on a good day. We loved it. Absolutely nothing wrong with small towns. Believe me, I love small towns. I grew up in several small towns as a kid. Okay, so I've moved my vanishing point considerably. And if I get too lost here, which is very, very possible, if I get too lost, that is to say I can't see the the deck, I can't see the image anymore, I will, without too much trouble, turn off the light, I'll pick up all my physical vanishing points, and I'll back up a couple steps. I'll go back to drawing off the cuff, if you will. Drawing. So again, if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, kinda, then you're kind of right. Spitballing is another word I've heard for this kind of thing. I'm just spitballing. That means approximating, just visually approximating until I get close to correct, and then I'll start making serious corrections. Does that make sense? Once again, using my physical vanishing point up there. This is my drawing is still upside down, or backwards, if you will. Upside mirror image to what the real is going to be. And if I get too deep in the weeds that I just really lose all of you. Also, I'll stop the broadcast because I think you all are completely confused, and I don't blame you for being completely confused. As I said, I'm halfway confused. Not quite halfway, but close enough. Close to halfway confused. I am going to turn off the light table. So I can cut out all the clutter. Let's see if I'm even close. And I am. I'm not as far off as I had feared. But now my main concern is that I'm just doing a dreadfully boring broadcast. Yes. That's why my dollar is usually safe. San Saba. It's almost, I think Brady might be the exact center of the state. Am I right? Remember, that's a foggy Texan memory now. It's not too far from Brady. Brownwood, not Brownsville, down in the valley. Brownwood. No, wait, do I have it backwards? Which one's down in the valley? Brownsville's in the valley. Brownwood. Yeah, Brownwood. Close to Brownwood. It used to be 3 hours west of Austin, but my wife and I also did a wedding in Austin a couple years ago, and we went and visited our old friends in San Saba and discovered that they'd built better roads since we were there. So now it's only 2 hours drive west, so 70 miles, 80 miles, 75 miles an hour, whatever, west of Austin. And an hour and a half north of the hill country, New Braunfels, that nice, sexy part of the state, nice, fancy part of the state. All right, I am making some progress here. It doesn't exactly look like it, but I'm, again, hammering things out is the word. That's what it feels like, just because there's no blueprint of this build here right now, and the purpose of this, my drawing, is to help finish selling the client on the concept. I think the client has already okayed the build. I think that's often where for this particular client, where my work comes in. But my client just wants to be nice, good client relations, and so if he can show them a kind of a snazzy professional, quote unquote professional rendering of the job, then the client feels all happy and relaxes a little bit, looks forward to the project getting done. Does that make sense? Back in the day, when I was a full-time illustrator, I did quite a few, lots and lots of architectural renderings from blueprints, from elevations. So everything was already designed, and that was a different kind of task. Of course, as an artist, I had to learn how to read and interpret elevations, which for anybody who's an architect, of course, that's architecture 101, probably. That's the beginning. But for me, the first time I ever did one, I was like, what? I have to read blueprints and interpret. So I eventually figured out how. It was kind of fun. This is not right. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are not right. So I'm just going to continue making corrections. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I'm going to put this drawing away, and I'll work on it on my own time when you guys aren't watching. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a Sharpie and outline exactly where this paper is on my drawing table. So that, oh, no, there's a better way. I just draw hash marks like this. Draw a circle around them, just a sloppy circle, doesn't matter. Okay, so those marks now will enable me, when the time comes, I'll put this paper down, tape it back down to my drawing table exactly where it was. See those marks? They line up with those marks. Boom. I actually have two architectural renderings that I'm working on. Same client, but the two drawings are at a different stage. So let's switch. And I won't show you this whole process, but I'll get started with you. This was my first sketch, notes from my client. That's number one. My second sketch, changing angle, elevated view, and so I emailed this to my client last week. Then he came over to my house a couple hours ago, and while he was here, looking over my shoulder, we went from this to this. And by the way, right here is that same trick I showed you a while ago, right? Taped an additional piece of paper up against this one. There's the tape. Got it? And this drawing, this rendering is close enough that I believe I can graduate. I can go all the way to working on a final illustration. So I have here a piece of drawing paper, just Strathmore drawing Series 400 drawing paper, and that's what I'm going to do the final drawing on. Now I'm being a little bit risky here because this rough sketch isn't quite as tight as I would like it to be. You know, I'd rather do one more tighter, but I'm taking a chance. I think I can go, nah, I think I can go straight from that to final artwork. Does that make sense? I'm being a little bit risky, and indeed, I could, it would not be unheard of for me to crash and burn and say, darn it, I took too big of a jump. So a little bit of a risk, but I think I can do it. All right, so I have this nice, pristine bit of drawing paper, putting on the glove to protect the paper from my hand. not as some people have guessed over the years, not to protect my hand from the toxic substances. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh. No, the paper is not toxic. It's to protect the paper from the oils in my hand. Anytime I'm doing a drawing on a surface of any kind, that my hand is going to be resting on the surface for a long time. So slow drawing, I'll put on one of these. It's just a glove, cheap cotton glove, probably, Dollar Tree, dollar store bag of gloves, 30 of them for $1 or something, and cut off the fingers. And I've already decided, this one of the decision steps in every drawing is what tools am I going to use, and I decided to use a fountain pen. Let me show you. Of course, you probably already know that's what the tip of a fountain pen looks like, right? And let me take it apart. Let me get this out of my way, so I don't drip on it accidentally. So it's a plunger, a syringe slash plunger. When you stick it down in the ink and you crank it up, and it sucks ink up. Oh, see, I just spattered right there. Glad I got my drawing out of the way. You just insert it here. Okay, since I've already spattered, hang on a second, let me get a piece of Kleenex here. Get my fingers clean. All right, and if I turn it clockwise, I think. See, I can't remember. I think I'm gonna turn it clockwise. No, counterclockwise. I'm looking for a drop of ink. There we go. Okay, a whole bunch of drops. All right, so now the nib is full of ink. Boy, I don't like those dark marks. Hang on just a second. Do I have cleaner right here? I do, right here. Just a little, kind of like a artist wet wipe, if you will. And then again, dry tissue, because I don't want any dampness on the back of my paper. That was a long way around, wasn't it? All right, so the alternatives would be I could draw with any one of these tools, a fine point felt tip marker. You want to make sure that it's waterproof. This one is not, and this one is a Sharpie. These all make very fine lines, but the line is essentially, let me demonstrate with this one. The line is essentially the same thickness, no matter how you hold it. I guess if you go real fast, it gets thinner, but going fast is a problem. But if I'm going to be drawing, and this is it's a number 3, this one's clogged up evidently slightly. The line's supposed to be thicker. Anyway, it's more or less the same thickness of line, no matter how much you push down, within reason. Whereas, and this is why I often prefer the fountain pen, if I push down hard and go slow, it's a pretty fat line. If I push down light and go fast, it's a very thin line. So I get a more expressive line. And also I can hold it side saddle and it still works. I don't think you can hold, you can't hold these side saddle. It needs to be pretty vertical for these fiber tip pens to function. Got it? But the fountain pen, I can hold it in a looser grip. So that's why I've chosen and it's always very subjective. I use all different kinds of tools all the time. And it has a lot to do with just what mood I happen to be in, or which client I'm working for, and what do I usually do for this client. The fact is, for this particular client, I think I've used every tool in the book. All right. I can start almost anywhere. By the way, this might bear a little explanation. Let me get a piece of scrap paper and show you what I'm doing here for drawing grass, just in case anybody out there ever needs to draw grass. Why would any of you guys ever need to draw grass? I don't know. But let me find a pencil. That'll do. And demonstrate this technique. And I'll turn on regular lighting just for a second. Okay, how to draw grass. First of all, this is perfectly appropriate. Going like this. Let me zoom in as far as I can and do that again. Okay, this is the way most of you would draw grass. In a sort of a architectural rendering or cartoony line drawing technique. So I'm not Now that's bad, frowny face, because it's all the same. I mean, that might be perfectly mown grass, but so I can hold it this way and try to get more variety. I'm pushing harder. I'm making my my vertical lines go in different directions. All right, so that's a little bit more expressive, right? Third, I can hold it side saddle, as I call it. And I guess let me zoom out a little bit because I want you to see now my whole arm is moving all the way from my shoulder. I'm kind of making my arm, I can't do it slow motion, I'm trying to make my arm vibrate up and down. Does that make sense? And this is the technique that I usually use for rendering lines in the grass or edge of grass. I like the feeling of those three samples. Even this is not bad, but feels a little more stilted. This is a little bit more spontaneous, free, expressive. I don't like that word. This is very bad here. That's where I'm just going up and down like this, right? Not a good idea. This is a close second to good enough. But even there, I was making my hand go up and down. All right, that's enough. How to draw grass class over. But that indeed is what I was doing on a much smaller scale. Right here. All right. In this scene, we're looking across an expanse of backyard. And again, the lines I'm making right now, I'm doing this. I'm sorry, it was off camera. I'm making my arm go up and down, right? So here's a lesson in landscape drawing or painting. How do you give the impression of depth or distance? The primary answer is horizontal striations, horizontal lines going this way. So, and this particular drawing here, oh wait, I'm getting mixed up. Is this supposed to be color or black and white? This one is color, I believe. I'm looking for my notes. Doesn't matter. In which case, the watercolor, I'll make the green, I'll make like shadows across. Doesn't matter. Someone might say, "But what are they shadows of?" It doesn't matter. The answer is they're trees or clouds or who knows what, buildings outside the frame of the picture. The main thing I wanted to demonstrate was giving the sense of depth is achieved by these horizontal lines. So this is all just an empty backyard, grass, okay? So I used those lines in the grass to indicate depth. Now this is the edge of a walkway. So as you can, I hope you can imagine, the edge of the walkway that's toward us, we're looking at an angle, so all we're seeing is the grass. Now the far side of the walkway is a straight line, whatever material they're going to use to edge. Yeah, I believe it's actually going to be a metal edge, he told me, my client told me. So see, this is a jagged grass edge and this is a straight edge. Forgive me, I'm probably going way too deep in the weeds for some of you, but there might be an artist out there. And this is a path, a walkway that's made up of flat stepping stones or flagstones. Flagstones very likely from Central Texas, by the way. One of the major producers of flagstones in the country. Because it comes off, they can just back the dump truck up to it and the stone comes off in perfectly flat slabs. And so this walkway is flagstones set in pea gravel. Right? Then and again, I'm not going to draw this whole thing. It would take too long, but I'll let you watch enough of it. This is all a brick or stone patio, and the patio has a border, grass here, changing grip now, and there's a name for the pattern of the way this stone is going to be laid out, and it's going to be my job as an artist to try to indicate that pattern without doing too much detail. Oh, which brings up another point. I will in fact use a finer, this pen is slightly finer than this one, so I'm using this pen to do the fat marks. I'll use this one to do things like grain in the in the stonework. Okay, here's a elevated fire pit, you might call it. I've drawn an awful lot of fire pits in my day. So I don't even have to look at a reference. I do look at references for a lot of things, especially for this client. He'll tell me all these different kinds of shrubbery and trees and flowers. He'll very often, not on this job, but very often he'll tell me, you know, it's japonica. Japonica. I don't even know what the rest of the holly, all these different, anyway, all these different kind of plants. I actually have, for this client, I have pages and pages of reference already printed out from the internet, but don't need it on this particular job. There's some poplar, not popular, some poplar trees back here. And just a little while ago, before I started this broadcast, I did in fact look up on Google poplar trees so I could see exactly their branch pattern. So I have that firmly in my mind. That's all. I didn't need to print anything out in this case. Let me come back here. So here is a little pond, a small pond. I would call it maybe a koi pond, you know, a pond that the people are not very large, 4x5, 5x6. I'm actually drawing it slightly larger than that just so they can see. It doesn't matter. I think if I exaggerate just a little bit the size of it, I want the client to get the idea, oh yeah, that's our pond, cool. I would call it a koi pond with large boulders around it. My client, I know because he did some of our backyard, does a lot with large boulders, very tasteful, attractive use of boulders, and a weeping red Japanese maple here. And I think I already know what a weeping Japanese red maple looks like. Quite an expensive little tree, I happen to know, having shopped for a Japanese maple in the past, weeping or otherwise. They tend to do very well here in our part of the country, North Carolina. But we had one that died in our front yard. Anyway, in spite of that. So we managed to kill a Japanese maple, which was not a happy moment. It's years ago. Years and years ago. All right, and do just a little bit more of the drawing with the fat pen, so to speak. And then I'll show some of my drawing process with the Sharpie marker, with a fine point marker. In the meantime, here's some just making up, inventing stuff here. Patio furniture. Again, just to help the client visualize. The client is by no means required to purchase the exact kind of table, chairs, or tent, or canopy that I show in the drawing. They can buy whatever kind they want, but I just want to give them the idea that, oh, here's where you'll want to put some patio furniture, right? This is what it will look like. Won't that be pretty? Won't that be lovely? Yes, 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 etc. Right? That's my job with advertising, marketing. That's what all this is about. I'll finish a little bit more of this wall. Capstone on top of the wall. And here's some of the stonework. Generally, it goes at an angle. You know, it's not at right angles. Not at right angles to the width or length of the. Generally speaking, not at right angles to the orientation of the patio, but at a 45-degree angle, generally speaking. And it's sort of an irregular herringbone. It would be how I would describe it to people that don't know. And I'm not going to cover the whole area with these marks. That would be too much, too busy. Just enough to help convey to the client, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, it's going to be that kind of stone. Once this illustration is all finished, again in watercolor, which if I think later today, if I feel like I'm doing something exciting, I'll do another broadcast. But chances are I won't do that. You've seen me do enough boring little watercolors over the years. But if I find myself doing something particularly interesting, I will do another broadcast. When the illustration is all finished, again, this is a stone wall, so I just want to indicate with this, again, with this finer marker, these finer lines. When I finish the watercolor, of course, I will scan the illustration into my computer and I will tweak it in Photoshop. And the product that my client gets, that he gives to his client, is almost always just the Photoshop file, the JPEG or whatever, which means I have the freedom, the ability to edit the painting quite a bit in Photoshop, and I don't hesitate doing that at all. Of course, I will try to make this watercolor painting attractive. Let me do a little bit more. So I looked up poplar trees and their foliage. Oh, by the way, here's a little tip. I have over here in the upper right-hand corner a short stack of Post-it notes, because I test my pen up there. I'm off the camera now. See, my pen's not quite working well now, so I'm going to take the back off it, turn the plunger so ink comes into the point, and now it should work better. All right, so I looked up. Oh, look what just happened. Oh, that doesn't happen very often. Thank goodness. So that's a mistake I'll need to fix. Of course, I could fix it in Photoshop without any trouble, but that would still leave the. Let me shake it better. There we go. That would still leave the painting damaged, if you will. And I don't want to do that. So I will take a little bit of gouache, opaque watercolor, and correct that with gouache. Just a little bit of a bother. So poplar trees tend to be bare. All right, I believe we're back. All right, I think we're on. Whew, that is, to say it's irritating is an understatement. Anyway, and I have the latest, greatest in equipment, and still sometimes the internet just does things that defy an explanation. So sorry about that. I think I'm back. Yeah. Lost most of my viewers, I expect. Some of you hung in there. Whew. All right, I was doing with a fountain pen. A little bit of details with a fine point nib here, fine point felt tip pen. All right, I think I'm going to end this broadcast. Sorry about that at this point. And as I said, so I've been working on two jobs in this broadcast. This is the second one where I'm further along. I'm going straight to ink, and this is one where I'm still very much working out the specifics of the drawing. All right. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate your chats and comments. And as I said, if I find myself doing anything even remotely interesting, and people say, "You mean you thought that was interesting?" No, I understand. It's pretty monotonous stuff, especially unless you're maybe an artist who's trying to do this kind of stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining me. If I do anything remotely interesting, I will do another broadcast. Okay. Otherwise, later today, I certainly hope to be working on my oil painting, the wedding painting that's behind me on the easel. All right. Thanks, you guys, for joining me.